Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American supernatural horror film from 2008, titled One Missed Call. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie starts with a fire at St. Luke's Hospital, and a young girl named Laurel is rescued from the fire. When people ask her about her mother, Laurel just looks at the burning hospital and does not answer. A few days later, a girl named Shelley is talking to her friend Leanne on the phone, when suddenly, her pet cat scares her. When she looks again, the cat is gone. She thinks it may have fallen into a nearby pond, so she goes to check. She sees the cat on the other side of the pond, and suddenly, a hand comes out of the water, grabs her, and pulls her into the pond, taking the cat with her. Soon after, a hard candy floats on the water, and Shelley's phone starts scrolling through numbers by itself. The story then introduces Beth, who is having a small party with her friends Brian and Taylor. Someone knocks on the door, and Beth goes to answer it. When she looks through the peephole, she briefly remembers something from her childhood. She opens the door and finds Leanne, Brian's ex-girlfriend, and they go upstairs to talk. Leanne says she went to Shelley's funeral. Her parents think Shelley committed suicide, but Leanne finds it hard to believe. Beth says Shelley had been acting strangely before she died, and suddenly, Leanne's phone rings with a strange ringtone. She says it is not her ringtone and becomes nervous when she sees the call is coming from Shelley's phone. The call goes to voicemail, and when Leanne listens to it, she becomes very scared. Beth also listens, and in the message, they hear Leanne's own voice talking about seeing strange things, ending with a scream. Leanne says the message is from 2 days in the future. At the same time, Detective Jack Andrews gets a call from the mortuary to identify a body found in the water. When he arrives, he sees it is his sister, and finds a hard candy in her mouth, the same type seen before. 2 days later, Leanne is in college with Beth during a lecture about PTSD. She imagines a centipede crawling on Beth's arm and sees strange faces outside the classroom. After class, she goes to the library, and on her way home, she keeps seeing the faces. She calls Beth and says she sees them and that the phone call she received will happen soon. Beth asks her to meet at a footbridge, and on the bridge, Leanne repeats the voicemail message, and suddenly the bridge breaks. She falls in front of an oncoming train. Beth sees it happen, hears a hissing sound, and sees a figure briefly before it disappears. Leanne's phone scrolls through contacts by itself, and later a hard candy is found in her mouth. 2 days later, Taylor talks with a friend about Leanne and Shelley's deaths and the strange calls. Brian overhears, gets angry, and imagines a centipede crawling on the wall. Later, Brian goes to a cafe near a construction site, and Beth meets him there. Brian shows a voicemail on his phone dated a few minutes in the future, and suddenly, he imagines a figure coming toward him and moves to avoid a vehicle. As he repeats the message, an explosion kills him, and a hard candy falls from his mouth. The next day, Beth goes to the police to report this, but they refuse to help. Detective Jack Andrews overhears and talks to her. He says his sister Jean worked with Shelley at the hospital and died 2 days earlier. He promises to investigate and gives Beth his contact. At home, Beth finds a letter from her mother apologizing, but she tears it up. Taylor is very scared, thinking she will be next, but Beth removes the batteries from their phones to keep them safe. That night, a ringtone sounds, and Beth finds Taylor's phone, even though it has no battery. Taylor sees a video of herself screaming, dated 2 days in the future, and the next day, they destroy Taylor's phone. A man named Ted Summers approaches them, saying he can perform an exorcism on Taylor. He gives her a new phone, and when Beth pulls her away, Taylor receives the call again. Ted watches the video and becomes determined to help, but Beth takes Taylor inside. Meanwhile, Jack looks through items recovered from his sister and suddenly gets a call. The next morning, Taylor leaves a note saying she went to her parents. While exploring the house, Jack sees a centipede outside a window, and Beth hears a sound from a closet and finds a toy. Jack finds a videotape showing two girls, and they notice a nanny camera is missing. They think Marie may have abused her daughter Laurel and could be responsible for the murders. They find Marie's older daughter Ellie's autopsy report, showing she died from an asthma attack. Child Protective Services records show Ellie and Laurel were admitted to the hospital 9 times between April and May, and Beth suspects Marie might have FDA. Meanwhile, Taylor goes to meet Ted Summers, who plans to record her exorcism for his program. Beth sees this on TV and goes to the studio with Jack. The studio is inside a church. Beth calls Taylor to stop her, but Taylor hangs up. During the exorcism, the lights go out, Taylor screams, sees figures, and is suddenly choked to death by an unseen force. Afterward, a hard candy rolls out of her mouth, and Beth then receives a call from Taylor's phone with a message meant for her, dated for the next day. At the police station, Jack tries to make his senior officer Mickey take Beth's story seriously, but Mickey and the others ignore it. To keep Beth safe, Jack offers to stay with her, and at Beth's house, Jack notices burn marks on her arms. Beth explains that her mother used to abuse her with cigarettes, and that her father knew about it and later hanged himself in the attic. Soon after, Jack gets a call that Laurel has been found. He and Beth go to her foster home. Laurel does not answer questions and has not spoken since the hospital fire. She presses a button on her teddy bear, which makes the same strange ringtone from the phone calls. Frustrated, Beth yells at Laurel and leaves. Jack follows and tries to calm her. Beth believes finding Marie will solve everything, so they decide to search separately. Beth goes to the hospital and talks to a doctor, who says Marie was with Laurel during the fire. Beth thinks Marie may have died in the fire and decides to check the hospital, and inform Jack about it. At the hospital, a locked door opens by itself. The lights turn on as Beth walks inside. She hears strange noises and sees a dark figure pass by. She follows it and finds a deformed baby holding a phone playing the strange ringtone. Terrified, Beth runs toward the exit, but the door locks. Something attacks her and drags her down a corridor. She escapes and meets Jack, and while trying to leave, something grabs Beth's hair, but Jack frees her. They run into an operating room, where Marie's spirit suddenly appears, knocks Jack unconscious, and locks Beth inside. The ringing phone starts again, and Beth throws it across the room. It hits an air vent, revealing a crawlspace. Inside, Beth finds Marie's burned corpse holding a cell phone, and she destroys the phone. The corpse comes to life, stops her from escaping, and cries, softly saying, "Forgive me." Jack wakes up, breaks the door, and rescues Beth, and outside, Beth says Marie may have brought her there to protect her. Later, the police recover Marie's body and the ringing phone. Jack also tells Laurel at her foster home that her mother is dead. He finds Laurel's teddy bear and discovers a hidden nanny camera inside it. The recorded video shows Ellie cutting Laurel with a knife. Marie enters, stops the abuse, and takes Laurel to the hospital. Ellie is left alone, has an asthma attack, and calls her mother, which begins the curse. The hissing sound was from Ellie's inhaler. The people her victims saw were Laurel's dolls, and the centipede was her pet. Laurel later confirms to Jack that Ellie abused her but also gave her candy afterward. The police officer with the ringing phone answers it and hears Beth screaming in a voicemail. He informs Jack, and he goes to Beth's house to warn her. Beth senses something strange in the house. When someone knocks, she opens the door and sees Jack. Another knock comes, and Beth warns him. Jack looks through the peephole and is suddenly stabbed in the eye. All the windows shatter, and Ellie enters to attack Beth, but suddenly, Ellie is pulled into the phone by her mother's ghost. Beth watches as Jack's phone scrolls through contacts, showing the curse is still active, as the movie ends. Okay guys, that's all the recap about One Missed Call from 2008. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.